In Magog, in Ezekiel 38, the mention of the word Magog in the Hebrew, the Strong's number in the Hebrew is 4031 Magog, the second son of Japheth, grandson of Noah, the progenitor of several tribes northward from Israel. And what it actually says is amazing. It's saying this region is between, note this, you guys, if you're listening, Cappadocia and Media.
What are some of the foundational reasons, and I know you were going into this, what are some of the foundational reasons that Gog, the leader, and Magog, the place, is actually talking about a future Turkish invasion?
If they help themselves by looking at these regions, bringing up the map, and it's amazing. Capiddocia is highlighted as being all of Turkey region, the Mediterranean. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate being here, Jericho. I think it's a really important subject. I think one of the common misconceptions regarding understanding Gog is that I think recently the church understanding end times, most of the most popular, I would say, Bible study teachers have primarily focused on Russia as the threat to the West and the threat to Israel. So I think they've had this preconceived notion of this fear of the bear of Russia. And I think that has influenced their understanding of Bible prophecy, talking about the old Soviet Union days up until today with what's happening in Ukraine. So Russia as a country has already been pretty much demonized by Christian authors and teachers. They've put out books with this narrative and they've pigeonholed this particular country as Gog because of the wording in the book of Ezekiel being far north to Israel. And sometimes you'll notice that some of these teachers emphasize the extreme north. But along with that is the misunderstanding of who is Gog. I believe, according to my understanding of the Bible, is very consistent. There's this one arch enemy that's coming against Israel in the end times, and that is coming from the north of Israel. So it's a big dramatic scene playing out here. The Lord is saying that he himself, which is remarkable when you think about it, he has orchestrated a particular event himself in order to destroy his enemies. And this is how he does things. He's marvelous. And this is, in a nutshell, exactly what Gog and Magog invasion of Israel is all about. Mm-hmm. The Gog leader of a coalition of nations, coincidentally, are all today Islamic majority nations. Mm-hmm. But when we look at the most popular narrative, you've got Russia as the chief head ruler of these Islamic nations, Libya, Sudan, Turkey, Persia. So anytime something happens in geopolitical world, with Russia in Syria, for example, the USA, Turkey's involvement in Syria, people get very overexcited. I understand the reason of concern. I totally get it. You know, it's like, oh my goodness, are we that close? But they're looking in the wrong direction. It's actually Turkey, the nation that I believe the Bible is pointing us toward, and it's not done in one place.
Alrighty, guys, real quick, I just want to let you know that the full unedited version of this episode is actually available on the Patreon account. This is one of those video topics that can get really out of hand, especially on YouTube nowadays. You know what they're doing with all these videos. So if you want to get the full presentation about all of the geopolitical players that are going on in the Ezekiel 38 war, if you want to go deeper into why Turkey is Gog and Magog and not Russia, go ahead and we'll see you over on the Patreon episode. So I'll let her give the presentation, but there's so much more that needs to be said. We'll see you guys on the other side. Essentially what you're saying is that Gog and Magog are this last days enemy that God himself is going to bring against Israel, right, in the last days.
Yes.
And today, within kind of the modern political discourse or within the prophecy community, everybody's saying that this is Russia. Now, when you bring up the fact that it's actually Turkey, I can already tell my audience is just going absolutely nuts. And I don't know if you've seen this in your own personal experience, but if you kind of get away from this Russian narrative, people just kind of lose their minds. So
yeah.
What are some of the foundational reasons, and I know you were going into this, what are some of the foundational reasons that Gog, the leader, and Magog, the place, is actually talking about a future Turkish invasion.
Well, we got to, aside to also looking in depth at Ezekiel 38, which I've just got on my screen right now. My eyes keep glancing there. We've got to also see, what does the rest of the Bible talk about? Is there a consistency? Or is this just one random mention and we're assuming it's a particular location? It has to be consistent. And I think we're in a good place when we stay in the Bible and we're looking at other verses to give us backup support. Is the Lord painting a picture of a huge event, or is this something really irrelevant that apparently he's taken a lot of time and effort to give us a lot of detail? In Ezekiel 38, in the very opening verses, when the Lord says, let me just read it a little bit. Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog, of the land of Magog. Now, in that first verse, if we go and check the wording out in the Hebrew, it's telling us where is Magog. What is it? It's actually a region. In the Hebrew is Hamagog, and what it actually says is amazing. It's saying this region is between, note this, you guys, if you're listening, Cappadocia and Media. So we're talking again about Turkey and Iran region. In Magog, in Ezekiel 38, the mention of the word Magog in the Hebrew, the Strong's number in the Hebrew is 4031, Magog, the land of Gog, the second son of Japheth, grandson of Noah, the progenitor of several tribes northward from Israel, the mountainous region between Capiddocia and Media, the habitation of the descendants of Magog, son of Japheth. So there's a region mentioned here. It's a mountainous region between Cappadocia and Media. If you want to, you can look up the maps. And when the audience takes a look at the maps, which is remarkable, because I like visual aids, and I think a lot of people who really seriously want to understand Bible prophecy, if they help themselves by looking at these regions, bringing up the map, and it's amazing. Cappadocia is highlighted as being all of Turkey region, the Mediterranean. So Magog being this landmass, interesting. It's got nothing to do with further up north, which is really northeast. It's interesting when we look at these maps. So the Bible being, again, very specific, saying it's this region. And when you add into the following nations, Persia, Libya, it paints a picture. These are a regional army forming in order to invade Israel. And it makes sense because if you look at Turkey today, Turkey's got a base in Somalia, a growing massive military base. Turkey has a base building up, guess where? On the port of Sudan. And that port city is called Sawakin Island. And right across is the Red Sea, Saudi Arabia. So we know that Sheba and Dedan are in Arabia. And it makes sense because there is this hostility that the Islamic nations have with Saudi Arabia because of its monarchy.